Welcome to the Stepfamily Saturday Series with your Stepfamily Guides. We are here to lead you through the everyday challenges of your stepfamily journey. I'm Adrienne, and with me today are my Stepfamily Guides, Amelia and Amy. Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Hello.
Good. And as you can see, if you're watching us on screen, we have a special guest with us today, who some of you may know from the TLC show, The Blended Bunch, which you can also find on Discovery Plus. Hi, Erica. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to have, it's good to be here today. I'm super excited to be with you all.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited to have you. So Erica means Shemwell is the mother to 11 children, 7 children from her marriage to her late husband, Tony Means, and 4 children to her current marriage with Spencer Shemwell. Erica was widowed at 29 years old and remarried 2 years after Tony's passing from brain cancer. Almost 2.5 years into her blended journey with Spencer and their big family, she has learned a deeper way to love and has also been challenged and stretched in ways she has never experienced before. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Erica. We're excited for today's conversation and we can't wait to dive in. I know the 3 of us are very familiar with the Blended Bunch. However, we're not sure all of our listeners are. So we'd love to start with you just sharing a little bit about the show.
Okay, so the show is just 1 season, 6 episodes. It just dives into a little bit talking about the grief that my husband, who's also widowed, his late wife Amy passed away in a car accident. So it delves a little bit into the grief that we both experienced losing a spouse and the children losing a mother or a father. But the bulk of it is really discussing how we're working towards blending our family, the joys and the triumphs, and also the big challenges and how we're working to overcome them. So it's really great because it's not like this is a picture perfect show that shows that we've got it all in the bag. It's definitely showing how we're progressing and how everyone in a blended family is a work in progress, and there's no point of perfection, that we're constantly evolving, constantly trying to improve and do better. So that's the main focus of the show.
Wonderful. Well, I think with that, we'd like to start at the beginning of your story. So Amy, you want to kick us off?
Definitely. Okay, Erica. So one of the questions we always deal with when we're working with our clients is when to introduce parents and kids, potential stepkids. So we would like to know, how did you and Spencer decide when it was the right time for each of you to meet the other's children, and then also about the kids meeting together? So can you give us a little insight in how you guys work through that process?
Okay, yes, this one was a really difficult question to try to understand what I wanted to do when I first decided to start dating. I'd been given a lot of advice to wait to introduce kids. I've had other friends to say introduce right away, because if your potential, husband or wife that you're going to marry, doesn't even mesh with your kids, it's kind of great to move past it, move on to the next relationship. But with Spencer, we actually became really good friends prior to us actually dating, although there was some interest on his part. I wasn't quite ready. So we had a really open relationship that we were friends, and we introduced the kids right away. They were really good friends with each other. We got together and did a lot of play dates. It gave the kids a good opportunity to kind of get used to a new man or woman being in their life, even if it wasn't a potential to be a stepmom or stepdad. So it worked really well for us. And I also had dated a few other men, and I had my kids around them as well, just in a very relaxed environment, and involved their kids too. So kind of made it more of a friendship thing than a focus on that I was dating this person. So that's kind of how we started that out.
Very good. The next question we have, and it's also something that we deal with clients that are blending families, is how did you and Spencer decide who would move? It's my understanding he lived in Virginia.
Yes.
And you Utah, so that's quite the move. But how did you guys come to that conclusion that he would move to be with you in Utah?
So there were just a lot of things that were involved. So we hadn't been engaged when he moved here, but there was a likelihood that our relationship was really going to take off. And I have a lot of family support here. And that was something that was really, really big, especially after my late husband passed. My parents and all three of my siblings actually have moved within 15, 20 minutes of me. And
Oh, wow.
Spencer was out. Yeah, it's been wonderful. So I didn't want to lose that. I hadn't had it for 10 years with my first husband, and it was just so helpful. And knowing that blending a family is not just the parents involved, it's also an extended family process. We knew we would need a lot of support from extended family. I think that was one of the biggest reasons why we thought Utah would be the best place for him to come this way, is we had the support here that he didn't quite have out in Virginia. Although his extended family is wonderful and they're amazing people, no one lived close enough to be able to help out. So
that's wonderful. I know having that support network in place is crucial to raising any family, especially a large family and a blended one at that.
Right.
In one of our previous Stepfamily Saturday episodes, we talked about the reality that on average, it takes about 4 to 7 years for step or blended families to actually come together, blend, feel like a family unit. It's not something that happens overnight, and sometimes not something that happens naturally. So we're curious what this has looked like for your family and how you and Spencer helped the kids adjust to blended family life.
To blended family. Okay. So the first, I'd say probably 6 months of us blending our family was probably the best description, a party for the kids. We felt that it was one giant sleepover. And the kids were so excited. They were friends prior, especially our two oldest, Landon and Brayden, who are both 12 and 13 right now. They were the ones who kind of nudged us to get married. And they were just excited to be together. We roomed all the kids with their new step siblings instead of just keeping my kids together and his kids together to kind of help that blending process. And they were super excited about it. I mean, every night we put them to bed at 8, 9 o'clock. It comes around 10, 11, sometimes midnight. We have to keep going back down. Kids, settle down. You need to go to bed. So it was a giant sleepover. It was so much fun. But after those 6 months, we call it the honeymoon phase for the kids, it kind of wore off. And it definitely became much more of a challenge of understanding, okay, I have these new siblings, they're encroaching on my space, they're encroaching on my privacy. And even though I love them dearly and it's fun, they're not going away. Especially having so many all at once. I'm sure for Spencer's kids, it was even extra overwhelming having 7 new siblings rather than mine having just 4. But it was a process. So it was really important for us and still continues to be. And we have a lot of open conversation with our kids. We sit them down and have like family meetings on a weekly basis, or even just informal with kids one-on-one, and help them understand like, hey, we know that this has challenges. We know that this is difficult. We love our life and we're very happy and blessed with where we're at, but it can be difficult for us parents too. And the only way we can make things better is if you talk to us about how you're feeling. And with that being said, if you want to tell us about your emotions, we want to be able to help you work through them, but we will never be upset or angry or disappointed in the way that you feel about our blended family and your situation. If you're angry at me, I'm great. Tell me about it. Let's talk about it in a respectful way, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it so we can work through these problems, that I'm aware of something that I might not be able to pick up on, especially with my new stepkids. I might not be aware of that they're hurting because they seem totally fine and normal, but their dad has that intuition and has known them so much longer. He's like, hey, something's up. So we really have been working on that open communication as being number one thing, and that there's no judgment, that we're all struggling. We're all in this together. And if we can open up and talk about it, we can work through any of the issues.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I know communication is a hot topic in our world and something we talk about frequently.
Yep. So Erica, we just finished up a full month of Step Family Mythbusters, because there's all these myths about step families and myths versus reality. So we took the month of June to take care of some of the myths, but we have one that was kind of sitting and we hadn't touched it. We'd love for you to kind of share with us your thoughts. So the myth is that step families form easier after a parent passes away versus a divorce. So, and I know I've had a couple of clients that we've dealt with this issue too. So we would love to hear your thoughts on that myth itself, and then maybe more about your experience with Spencer, kind of working through that.
What it's been. Yeah, that's a difficult thing. I think, generally being into a blended family and having a new mom or dad comes with, emotional baggage. It's difficult for kids to want to form those relationships, whether their parent's alive or whether parent isn't. I think something that's maybe really specific to blending a family when the parents are gone is I've seen one of two things in the past with our family, and even with other friends that I have that have remarried, that have lost a spouse. The kids are either super, super excited because they really, really miss having that mother or father figure. And they are just cannot wait to call that new parent mom or dad even. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the kids that are kind of like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're here in my life. If you're here as my new step parent, that means that my mom or dad really isn't coming back, that they're really actually gone. And so it really depends on where they are at in their grief process. If they've already accepted that their parents have passed and they've really done a lot of that tough grief work, it's an easier transition for them to open up and accept the new step parents. But if they're not at that level, then there's definitely a lot of work that needs to go into before we get there. So I don't know if it would be easier or harder based on losing a parent or divorce. I think it's just really different with every situation and every child, to their personality and how they're feeling about a new blended family.
Yeah, I know there's so much with so many topics we talk about that we always say it depends on a whole host of factors. So
Right.
It sounds no different from that.
Yeah,
right.
so
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Stepfamily Saturday Series. We hope you've enjoyed the first of a 3-part interview with Erica Shemwell from the Blended Bunch. You can find season 1 of the show on Discovery Plus. Tune in next Saturday to hear the second part of the interview with Erica, and we hope you have a wonderful Saturday.